The government just changed the rules for executive condominiums. And I want to be honest with you about what this actually means. Not to alarm you, not to hype it up, because buried inside this announcement are very deliberate signals. Signals about where the EC market is heading, what kind of buyer the EC was originally meant for, and why the government is stepping in now. And if you are thinking about buying, upgrading, or even holding out for an EC in the future, this matters more than most people realize. On the 8th of May, 3 major things changed for new EC projects. First, the minimum occupation period, the MOP, has been doubled from 5 years to 10 years. And second, the deferred payment scheme, or DPS, has been removed, which means buyers now need to service progressive payments during constructions instead of deferring the bulk of the loan until TOP. And third, the first-timer quota has been increased from 70% for 1 month to 90% for 2 full years. Now, importantly, these rules only apply to new EC sites where the tender closed from 8th of May onwards. So projects already launched and 5 upcoming EC projects whose land was sold before the 8th of May are not affected. This part becomes very important later. Now, let's step back for a moment, because I think the intention behind this policy matters more than the headlines themselves. And honestly, I think the government is trying to do 3 things here. First is to curb speculative behaviour. The EC was originally designed as a bridge between public housing and private properties. For families who earn too much for HDB but weren't yet comfortable entering private housing. But over the past few years, something changed. The EC became more than just a stepping stone. It became a very well understood wealth progression strategy. The playbook became almost too familiar. Buy EC, wait 5 years, sell after MOP, upgrade to private. And the numbers became very significant. From 2021 to 2025, about 75% of EC owners sold within 5 years of reaching MOP. In 2025 alone, there were 162 EC transactions where seller made more than $1 million. The average gain that year, about $659,000. And once a pattern becomes that profitable, it naturally attracts more demand, which then pushes prices higher, including for the very first time buyers. The EC was originally designed to help. So think about what doubling the MOP actually does. Overnight, the old buy, wait 5 years, upgrade timeline became 10 years. That slows the cycle down very deliberately. And second, financial prudence. Now let's talk about the deferred payment scheme. And this part is very important. More than 75% of buyers at the last 2 EC launches use DPS, which tells you something interesting. A lot of EC buyers were already carrying an existing HDB loan, and DPS gave them breathing room. Because under DPS, buyers only needed to pay 20% upfront, while the remaining loan was deferred until TOP. So effectively, buyers could avoid servicing 2 loans at the same time during construction. Now with DPS removed, the message becomes much clearer. If servicing progressive payments alongside your existing obligation becomes too stretched, this may not be the right time to enter. And honestly, I don't think this is meant to punish buyers. I think it's meant to act as a guardrail. And thirdly, is to rebalance first-timers and second-timers. The third objective is probably the most direct. Second-timer buyers, people selling their first home to upgrade, historically had larger budgets, moved faster, and were more likely to execute a short-cycle EC strategy. Buy, MOP, sell, upgrade. But now, with 90% of units reserved for first-timers for 2 full years, this group is effectively pushed to the sidelines for future launches, and that changes the entire demand profile of the EC market moving forward. The buyer group most associated with rapid resale turnover has now been significantly reduced, and naturally, that affects future resale supply, and eventually price growth as well. Now, here's the bigger picture. The EC has always existed as a bridge between HDB and private property, priced lower, with restrictions that gradually lift over time. But when that bridge starts appreciating at around 120% over 10 years, while HDB resale prices rose around 51% during the same period, something has clearly shifted. And I think these measures are essentially acknowledging that. Because when resale EC prices start approaching ordinary private condos, even before full privatization, that starts defeating the original purpose of the EC. The EC exists to be the affordable alternative, and once the bridge starts costing almost the same as the destination, people start questioning the bridge itself. So what these measures are trying to do is restore the gap, to pull the EC back towards its original function, a stepping stone for genuine owner-occupiers, not a short-cycle investment vehicle. And honestly, that's probably healthier for the long-term market. Now, this part depends heavily on where you are in life, because the same EC policy can affect two buyers very differently. Let's say you are 28 years old, stable income, long runway ahead, a 10-year hold, manageable. But imagine you are already 40 today. You buy an EC now. By the time you can sell, you are around 50. Suddenly, the next loan conversation looks very different, because loan tenure shortens as you age, which means higher monthly repayments and potentially lower loan eligibility. The same upgrade that felt manageable at 35 can feel very different at 50. And this is where I think many buyers oversimplify the decision. Today, EC versus private condo cannot be answered generically anymore. It has to be looked at through your age, your timeline, your existing obligations, and your long-term progression plan, because the right answer for one buyer may be completely wrong for another. Now, here's the interesting part. There are still 5 upcoming EC projects launching under the old rules, meaning 5-year MOP, DPS still available, and the original first-timer quota structure. And once these launches are gone, this version of the EC market is effectively gone too. Projects like CDL, Simlian, JBE Holdings and Hoi Hub will collectively bring about 1,970 units to the market from late this year into 2027. And analysts are already forecasting launch prices could be close to 2,000 per square foot, because they probably can. Why? Because these are now the final EC launches carrying the exact structure that defined the EC market over the past decade. That's not a small detail. That's a very important market distinction. Costa Cabana in Pasir Ris also still has leftover units available under the old rules. So for buyers whose timeline genuinely fits the EC structure, the window is technically still open. And on the private market, none of these new rules affect private condos at all. In fact, I think this policy accelerates a question many EC buyers were already quietly asking themselves. Does it make more sense to go straight into private instead? Because one thing private property gives you is control over your own timeline. And for some buyers, that calculation may now shift meaningfully. So the new EC rules are not a crisis, they are a recalibration, a deliberate move to pull the EC back towards its original purpose. For the right buyer at the right life stage, the EC can still make a lot of sense, especially the project launching under the old rules, but for others, this may be the right time to revisit the plan honestly, to look at your timeline, your financing, your progression path, and whether the structure still fits where you want to go next. Because that's the real conversation. Not hype, not fear, just understanding the conditions properly. I do a 30-minute clarity course where we look at your situation, timeline, and options, and figure out what actually makes sense for you specifically. No pressure, no rushing, just clarity. I'm Jamie Goh from JGA. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!